Number 2, Cameron from Dunbar, PA. Now that the announcement of Paul Ryan as the VP has been made, I could not be happier because it tells me that Mitt Romney clearly understands that our overall economic situation is priority 1. What are your... Now, why did you not say priority A? I just wonder. There's 2 types of people in the world. Just trying to figure out what I know about you. What are your thoughts on Paul Ryan? Well, listen, I like Paul Ryan. Listen, to me, here's where the country's at right now. I look at a guy like Paul Ryan and think he's good for the country. Half the country looks at Paul Ryan and thinks he's the devil incarnate. I look at the Occupy movement and I think, God, they seem like a slap-ass organization. The same half that thinks Paul Ryan's the devil incarnate thinks that the future would best be served by the occupiers being in charge. I mean, could it be any more, split than it is right now? I look at the Occupy movement and I think, oh my God, can you imagine them in charge, how it would disintegrate? You know what I mean? Like basic stuff like toilets and, you know what I mean? They look like it's all sound and it's all fury and it's all fury and no sound. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my own metaphor. But, there are people, there's half the country right now looks at the Occupy movement and thinks, well, there's the answer. And then there's half who look at guys like Paul Ryan and think, well, we better go with him. And I guess we'll find out November 6th. Would it not shock you, though, if people said, no, we think Paul Ryan is evil? I guess they're pitching him as now. You just think, really? I mean, you heard David Axelrod talk about him like he was the problem with America. I don't think that. I don't know what to say. I mean, do I want to fight about it with people every day? No, I don't. Life's too short. But do I think Paul Ryan, if we had, let's just say, some uniform crazy word problem equation, that if the entire country was staffed by people like the Occupy movement or the Paul Ryans of the world, which would function better? I'm just telling you, in all fairness, I'd say the Paul Ryans of the world. But I do know that for every one of me in this country now, with a thin margin, there's one person who feels the other way. It's pretty... That couldn't be more clearly broken down. We'll see what happens November 6th. Number 2, Cameron from Dunbar, PA. Now that the announcement of Paul Ryan as the VP has been made, I could not be happier because it tells me... Oh, that's the one I read. Sorry. You can see I'm into the redundancy factor. I thought I had just avoided the first question, which was the SNL interview hours. I moved my eyes down to 2, and then I know what you're saying. How did Dennis make it 5 lines into the question before I realized it was a redundancy? Essentially, I did an hour pre-taping after the show and did a 3-hour radio show, and I'm talked out. But I am off. I'm going to have to miss next week's Bathrobe session, so I agreed to do 2 of them today. But after 4 hours of talking, remember that guy named Lars Larson up? Did you ever hear of him?
He's a client.
Oh, he is? Was he not doing 7
Still
hours?
Does.
Eric,
Yeah, I know. It's insane. He's like...
Well, what's he like that he can do 7 hours of radio a day? Honest to God, I have done the 3-hour show today, and then I went and I pre-taped some things. That took an hour. And that was consistently talking for an hour. So really, I'm in for like a total talking now, around 2:45 today. It's not even noon yet. And so we get to the Bathrobe sessions and I'm a little buggy. When I talk that much, I get sort of dingy. As you can see, I made it halfway through the question. But he does more than twice what I've done already each day of the week, right? But not the weekend.
Yeah, no, not the weekend.
What's he like? Is he in a good mood?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He emails during all of that, too, like with people's questions. And
how does he end up being on the air for 7 hours? How does it break down? He does a national show and a local show?
Yeah, he does a 3-hour local show and then a 3-hour national show, and then I can't remember what the other hour is. But
and what does he, where does he, is he doing it in his house?
No, he's at KXL Studios in Seattle.
Folks, some people are just made of sterner stuff than me. If I did 7 hours a day... You don't even want to know how fucking crazy and cranky I would get. Enjoy these samples of the Bathrobe sessions, a weekly video available only to members of the DMZ, the Dennis Miller Zone, on DennisMillerRadio.com.